Let's talk some Florida State recruiting. The Noles are surging into the top 10 this weekend with a big win on Saturday. FSU beat USC and others for four-star Texas wide receiver Dalen McCutcheon. It was a huge commitment, a position of need for Florida State. Yes, they have CJ Wiley committed already, but we're going to bring on Michael Langston from Warchant to figure out what's next for FSU at the wide receiver position. Also, a couple big targets making decisions here real soon, so we're going to preview those and see if FSU is sitting in good shape. But before we get rolling, FSU fans, do me a favor. Hit subscribe to the On3 Recruits channel. We're talking FSU recruiting a lot this offseason, so jump on board, hit subscribe for me, please. All right, let's bring on Michael Langston from Warchant. Michael, let's talk wide receivers. A couple of them coming off the board this summer. Khaleke Lockett will be August 7, but Vernell Brown is next Sunday. So Vernell Brown the third. We feel like this is an in-state battle. UF, FSU, Miami. I know Ohio State also involved here, but where do you think FSU stands as we're about a week out?
Yeah, I mean, the wide receiver position certainly looks good for them now. I have two commitments, CJ Wiley and then Dalen, which is a massive pickup. And even a lot of people didn't even know for sure. I think FSU definitively that it was going to be them, but I think everything seemed to lend FSU position well. But yeah, they're going to try to get more receivers. Vernell Brown will be obviously the preference. But I just think with that recruitment, I think FSU's done everything right. He loves what Norvell does, but being a legacy and that seems to be important to him. And I think Florida. I'm not going to say there's no shot, but I would say if there was a shocker, it would be FSU. But I think it'd probably be Florida there. Then you also have Malik Clark out of the Carolinas that I know they're heavily involved with. Like South Carolina is the main competition there, and FSU is certainly pushing. It feels like for him after when you get past the Vernell Brown. And then the other one in season is Dallas Wilson, five-star receiver committed to Oregon. He's going to take an official visit. Even though he made that statement, I still hear he's going to officially visit FSU and possibly a few others. But I think those are just some of the names that are kind of in the picture. But I think overall receiver, FSU fans should feel good because they've kind of hit what their quota, what they wanted. They wanted at least two. I think three is a bonus with icing on the cake, but certainly they would like to get three. But I think overall they've hit on that position.
All right, now there's some big decisions going down on the defensive side of the ball in the next 2 weeks, and we'll start with cornerback Jabar Antoine, who's going to announce his commitment right here on the On3 Recruits channel on July 20th. Now, that's next Saturday. It's going to be LSU, FSU, and Miami. He decommitted from LSU a couple weeks ago, so I guess he could go back to LSU. But the way I'm reading it, is it more of an FSU and Miami battle heading down the stretch here for Jabar Antoine?
That's the feeling. I never, and I said this to people, I've never count out LSU when it comes to even in-state, even if they decommit. So I wouldn't be stunned if he went back to LSU, but I'd say everything I've got from the tea leaves and the intel suggests FSU Miami battle. I know there was a pretty solid surge from FSU when he officially visited FSU, and certainly there was a big impression. I don't think it's the definitive one way or the other. I think some people like Miami, some people like FSU. I think certainly the communication with FSU is picked up there, so I think it's definitely one that is very attainable for FSU. I think they definitely feel like they have a great shot as far as in that recruitment. I don't think he's told anybody or hinted to a coach that he's coming one way or the other. So I think it just depends on what day you are, but there's been buzz with FSU in this recruitment, and now it's just about finishing it out before he announces on Saturday. So I know it's still a close battle with those two.
Yeah. And then a week later, on August 3rd, out of Pensacola, safety Laron Clarity, he's going to announce his decision. Is this FSU Ole Miss down the stretch?
That's what it feels like. Had a really good talk with Ladarian, and we did a story on it, and you really felt like this was a kid when he did all that he was torn. He's got through talking to FSU a few days ago when I interviewed him. So I think there's a strong pull as far as the players. He knows a lot of the FSU players. He's really close with Jabril Rawls, who's on the team. He's really close with Darius Washington, and he knows Jonathan Daniels, who all are from the Pensacola area. Now his 7-on-7 team has some Mississippi guys on it, so I'm sure there's some push there to for Mississippi, and he's visited there as well. And I think he's going to visit. Personally, I think he's going to visit, even though he's making his commitment. I think he visits probably both of those schools one more time in July. I just have a feeling that he's already hinted to me that he's going to go to FSU. I could see him going to both of those places and kind of getting the last feel to which one's the best. I think now, if you talk about just how the recruitments work, I think a personal part of him, prefers FSU when you listen to the way he talks about FSU and the time, but also Ole Miss has been in there for a while, so I think that's one where he feels like, hey, he can make his own name there. So I think it's still a tight battle. I would slightly lean towards FSU, but I still think it's very much up in the air what he does.
I want to talk about the running back position. You and I have kind of gone back and forth with different names, but down the stretch here, it looks like Usman Kroma and Byron Lewis are kind of the names that we're focusing on at the end of summer. Do you think one or both of them will be committed to FSU by the end of summer? And hey, can FSU land one or both of them?
I don't think they can land both of them personally.
Mm-hmm.
I just think one's going to domino the other, and schools will use that against FSU. Once you get one, they're kind of like, "Hey, you don't favor this guy as much as we do,"
Right.
and I just think that'll teeter towards them. Now there is some solid buzz about FSU. I mean, I'm liking what I'm hearing just on from the FSU side of things, that of what they've done with Usman. I think there's been a surge there, and it's a legit one where got it from multiple people that they feel like there's a very real chance. And if people remember, if you go way back to the spring, FSU was the leader. That was the team that he talked about. So I think there's a connection there. I know the next question people have: which one do you prefer, Mike? Or which one does FSU prefer? I think they love them both. I think it's more like 1A, 1B. I don't know which one I would put in there, but right now, as of when we're doing this, I
Mm-hmm.
still like FSU where they sit with Byron Lewis. But as I said, if you get a guy like Chroma who could probably commit certainly earlier than Byron does, I think that could shake things up. Now, I'm not going to totally rule it out and say, hey, there's no way they can get both. I just a really big challenge when you're talking about two premier guys at the position, especially one like running back where, you know, outside of FSU, most of the time there's a feature guy and that's the guy. And usually you're talking about personalities and
Mm-hmm.
want and how schools can use that against you. But I think overall, though, they sit good with both of them. I don't think I would say that. I knew how I feel about Byron, but I was really surprised how things have really shifted with Usman throughout this recruitment. So I'm going to be very intrigued if they do land Usman, what that does with the board and how that changes stuff. Because technically, they would love to get one running back, and then obviously the two would be Chromo and Byron. But I think they if they didn't happen like that, they would like to get a running back and then get a kind of an athlete that plays
Mm-hmm.
that's running back that they can use in a multiple ways. And I think that's kind of their plan. But overall, I think it's a good thing when you certainly have two guys that are looking pretty good for FSU, at least at this point.
Yeah, and hey, FSU looking pretty good overall in the standings. Currently at number 7 as we tape this on Sunday, and looking for more. Could be a top 5 class when it's all said and done. FSU fans, talk to us. Comment section below. Who do you think is the most important target moving forward this summer? Let us know. Comment section below.